My name is James Robert Walker. In 1957, I was a technical sergeant in the United States Air Force, stationed at Rhein-Main Air Base in West Germany. That was the year the Cold War stopped being an idea and started breathing down my neck. I was 26 years old, and every man I knew believed the next war wouldn't begin with a warning, it would begin with a mistake. That same year, on October 4th, 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1. The world heard that metallic beep crossing the sky. Many of us believed the Soviets were ahead. What I witnessed months later proved otherwise. In March of 1958, I was temporarily reassigned to an observation operation near the Fulda Gap, one of the most dangerous fault lines between the Soviet bloc and the West. On paper, our mission was simple: monitor air and ground movements from Warsaw Pact forces. In reality, we were waiting for the end of the world. On the night of April 17, 1958, our unit received reports of unusual activity east of the border. Soviet military trucks, Gaz-51 cargo vehicles, were moving in convoy, escorted by BTR-40 armored personnel carriers. Nothing extraordinary until the sky changed. At 0214 a.m., a sound cut through the air. It wasn't a standard patrol flight. It was a MiG-17 Fresco, flying low, and too fast. And behind it, something the Soviets clearly did not expect. From our side, a North American F-100 Super Sabre broke the sound barrier at low altitude. The shock wave rolled through the valley like thunder. Through my binoculars, I saw Soviet soldiers drop to the ground. They weren't prepared for that. The American pilot pulled into a near vertical climb, a maneuver the MiG-17 simply could not safely replicate at the time. The Soviet jet tried to follow. It failed. That was the moment I realized something no one said out loud. They didn't fully understand our technology. Days later, intercepted radio communications confirmed it. Soviet officers were debating whether the F-100 used some kind of experimental propulsion system. One of them even suggested electrical assistance. They were confused, and they were afraid. In June of 1959, I participated in another operation, this time near West Berlin. The wall hadn't been built yet, but the tension was already solid. I watched a Soviet diplomatic convoy cross a checkpoint in ZIL-111 limousines. Shortly afterward, we were authorized to activate our new mobile radar system, the AN-TPS-1E. Once powered on, it began detecting aircraft at altitudes the Soviets believed were invisible. Across the radio channels, nothing. Later, intelligence revealed that Red Army officers had requested urgent reports be sent directly to Moscow. They didn't understand how we were seeing everything. But the moment that never left me happened in October of 1961, just weeks after construction began on the Berlin Wall. A joint exercise was conducted using M48 Patton tanks, deliberately maneuvering close to the border. It wasn't provocation, it was demonstration. On the eastern side, T-54 Soviet tanks remained stationary, too stationary. I watched young Soviet soldiers, maybe 18, 19 years old, staring at our equipment with a mixture of disbelief and fear. It wasn't hatred, it was shock. That night, I wrote in my journal, they believed they were facing men. Tonight, they realized they were facing systems. The Cold War was never just about nuclear weapons. It was about who appeared untouchable. And for brief moments, they truly believed they could not catch up. I retired in 1968, shortly after the USS Pueblo incident. I never fired a shot in active combat, but I lived every day knowing that one misread radar signal, one nervous pilot, one bad decision could have ended everything. When people ask me if the Cold War was dangerous, I answer honestly. It was the closest the world has ever come to ending, and most people never noticed, because the real shock happened in silence. And I was there to see it.